Hi, it's Chris from Implied Music. Pan-Diatonic, all diatonic, all the notes of a diatonic scale. Vertically at once. Sounds like soup. It could. Let's take a look at one of my pieces. We'll do a little talk through. Here we go. So I thought today we would look at a piece that I'm calling Let Go. And it's a single MIDI track playing Equator 2, which is an MPE compatible synth from Rowley. I played it on my Rise 49, an MPE synth. What that means is every one of these notes that you're looking at here gets a separate velocity, pressure, pitch, identity. And as a result, you can get a very expressive performance. What's interesting to me about the piece is the use of sustained tones and layered tones that add up to make one big sonority. I like to use the word sonority instead of harmony for music like this. It's basically in the ambient lane. Let's listen. We're going to begin with a long, low, sustained A. And that A gives way to the first melodic fragment. It's kind of a little motif, 9-1. And then on top of that, the major third, the C sharp, and the sixth. So we've basically kind of outlined an A6 chord here. The A, maybe it's an A6-9. If we were a jazz musician, that's what we'd think. But really it's about this vertical sonority of a bunch of notes from the A scale. And the implication already to our ear is 6 different tones, 5, 6 different tones. Those of you with sharp ears will have noticed, and I'm going to pop over to my mixer now, that I'm using an echo, a reverb, that has a shifting pitch, and I've taken it up 7 half steps. That's a fifth, so every A, as it echoes, becomes an E, and the E becomes a B. We have extra tones adding in above. I'm sending that actually through to the Eventide Shimmer as well, which is also doing the same thing, and that's mixed a little bit back. I'm sort of evening it out, and there's a tiny pitch variation going on. It's sort of modulating the pitch a bit to get a little more animation. At this point, I don't know if you noticed it, when the D dropped in, the vertical sonority shifted, although we're still in the same basic scale. The A major scale spells A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Now, as it happens, I don't believe I ever played a G sharp, nor did I ever play a G. So there's an ambiguity here that I'm enjoying. And that ambiguity is, am I in D major with this low D bass, or am I in A major with that long, sustained A tone? Here the F sharp in the bass sounds like a relative minor, and yet we're still really just kind of living in this basic space. I think what happens as this piece progresses is we begin to hear this scale, D, E, F sharp, E, D, as a bass line. But that bass line is a little ambiguous compared to our sonority that we've established early on, which is the A. Pan-Diatonic Harmony never feels like it really settles down in one place. It's more of a terrain. It's a landscape. And And landscapes allow you to imagine any number of possibilities. You can put yourself here in them or there in them. This would be a fun drone to sing over. As the piece winds to a close, that sustained A comes back to feel, strong. But I want to maintain that sense of ambiguity, and we actually end with, here it comes, an F sharp down here. Sounds like the relative minor again. Where are we really? Remember that F sharp was on top at the beginning. It's a little dark, but still hopeful. Pan-Diatonic Harmony can be a little bit difficult to manage as all of those notes build up. And it's a little bit hard to manage on piano, as you can imagine. If you're a pianist, you've got to play 6, 7 tones at once, maybe separate voices. When you're mixing something like that, be super careful about EQ. I use a plugin called Soothe, which kind of tames the frequency spectrum. And for a piece like this, just one single instrument with some added effects, it's not so hard, but it's difficult when you begin to add a bunch of tracks doing the same kind of thing at once. For orchestral writing, listen to how the various instruments in the orchestra blend together in complicated arrangements from the two John Adams. John Luther Adams, in his remarkable orchestral compositions, most particularly Become Ocean or Become Desert. And then perhaps earlier, John Adams, the contemporary American composer who precedes John Luther Adams somewhat. They're both still alive. They're both basically my age, I guess. And he uses figurative melodic fragments to create layers of music which have a net effect of being pan-diatonic. You can make your music rich and beautiful by figuring out how to get in a bunch of notes from one scale. And it doesn't have to remain one scale. In future videos, we'll look at how changing scales over the course of a piece can create a sense of animation and a journey. I'm very interested in this approach right now because it frees me from the conventions of 19th century European theory while still acknowledging the tendencies that our ear has towards that language. We've heard so much of it, and that's just the way we are. Well, I don't want to turn this into a rant, so I'm going to close. I hope this was useful. As always, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I want to know what's up for you right now. What are you working on? See you next time.